What up, Hyperchange? Welcome to another episode. We've got the legendary Tesla Twitter, James Stephenson, on the line. What up, James?
You got me. Yeah, that's it. Great to be with you again, Gally.
So we just got some crazy news out of the S&P 500. You just put out this really interesting tweet. It looks like some really interesting news has dropped. So you kind of want to break that down for us?
Yeah, we already knew that Tesla was going to be added to the S&P 500 by December 21st, but what we didn't know was whether the S&P was going to do that all at once or if they were going to break it up into multiple weeks and spread it out more. And the expectation was that they were going to divide it up and spread it out, which is kind of an unusual step for them, but something that they wanted to do or wanted to offer funds the choice of doing so that they could take such a large market cap company in. Tesla is the largest market cap company ever to be admitted to the S&P 500. It's really unprecedented. And that's why they asked for feedback from the funds. Hey, do you want to break it up into multiple weeks? I guess the feedback must have been, no, do it all at once. So,
Wow. Because we're expecting this, like, it's essentially panic rush of buying by all these index fund managers. I've seen, maybe you've been posting the memes of like the index fund managers sweating about like, when do I actually have to buy? Like, which is hilarious to me. And so there's sort of this FOMO thing. And to me, it made so much sense of like spreading it out more to just give the market more time to deal with this. But now it sounds like they're forcing it all at once.
Yeah, so it'll happen all at one time instead of breaking it up into multiple weeks. Rob Maurer's stuff, Tesla Daily, shout out to Rob, has been great the whole time. So a lot of us in the Tesla bull community on Twitter and elsewhere have been expecting this for a long time, that if the Tesla stock price keeps rising a lot and then everybody is forced to buy regardless of what the price is, and these index tracking funds are price indifferent. It doesn't matter to them what the price is because they just have to sell the other stocks they already have in their index tracking fund to pay for it, right? So the potential for a squeeze has always been there, not a short squeeze, but an index tracking fund squeeze.
Tracking fund squeeze. I love that. And
Yeah.
So why would have they been able to buy it, or are they literally all going to have to buy it that day, the December 21st?
Well, the prospectus from the Spider Fund, S&P 500 Index Tracking Fund, says they, guarantee you within a small margin of error that you're going to get the same return the S&P 500 gets. And the only way they can do that, or the way that they do that, is by buying the market cap weighted mix of funds that comprise the S&P 500. So when a company gets added and another company gets removed, that's when they have to do their buying and selling of those companies. So they're not permitted to buy ahead of time. There had been some confusion about that previously, that, okay, maybe they can buy in a different fund and then swap the money over. You're doing that at the expense of whichever fund you bought the stock into in the first place and then transferred it out of. And that's not fair to those investors, and they could sue you for it. Right?
Fascinating. So it sounds like you really do not want to be an index fund manager. And it's almost like they're ripping the Band-Aid off on the 21st, instead of like letting it go on for weeks and have crazy trading. They're like, let's just rip it off. And like, people just have to get in that one day, and that day will be crazy because like you said, this is really unprecedented. It's almost like they really hated to get Tesla in and they waited to the last minute, and the stock price kept soaring and they thought it was a bubble and it was going to crash. We weren't going to have to admit it. Or they were only profitable 3 quarters. They weren't going to be profitable. So they kept pushing it down the road to the last minute, it felt like. And now it's sort of, they've waited to the last possible moment. It's like Tesla's 500 bill. It's like the 8th largest publicly traded company. Like, we have to get it in there. It's almost ridiculous that it's not. So in many ways, they're like ignorance backed themselves into this corner, it seems.
Yeah, they missed their first chance after Tesla qualified for inclusion to get them in, and they kicked the can down the road as far as it would go, and they've got to get Tesla in now. So I did mention one of the possibilities, which is that we could see the price rise a lot. Another one is that maybe there's been a lot of front-loaded buying that's been happening, people front-running the trade so that they can sell to those index managers. And we don't know what their price targets are. More is better, but there's also the possibility that panic selling could happen at some point. And then instead of the price going up, the price comes down. So it's not a sure thing that we're going to see Tesla's price rise through December 18th, which is kind of the deadline. That the 18th is a Friday, the 21st is a Monday. So if Tesla's in on the morning of Monday the 21st, you have to own the stock already by end of trading on 12/18, which I think is a triple witching day for options.
So which means like all the options expire, which means there's usually more volatility, and that's the day the index funds got to cram it in. So we are setting out for just like a roller coaster ride until the 21st, essentially. And I think what you're saying is really right with people buying ahead of time. Sorry, but I feel like a lot of people have been trying to game this system on Tesla. Or like I'm kind of curious of where the Tesla bulls speculatively buying into this versus the index funds being forced to buy, where that kind of equilibrium evens out, because now it just seems like it keeps going up. Like even my most bullish Tesla friends are like, dude, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, if nobody wants to sell, the price keeps rising until you can find somebody willing to part with their shares at that price, right? Yeah.
So what's your take on all this? Do you think we're getting out of whack between the rational market price of Tesla because of these weird, unrelated dynamics that are not related to the fundamentals?
Well, I'd be a lot richer than I am if I could tell you every day what the stock price is going to do. I cannot do that, and I'm not aware of anybody else who can either.
Great answer.
But I won't be surprised if we see the stock run up to the 16th, 17th, 18th of December, and then following inclusion, pare back some and do some retracement. That seems likely to me, that some of what has gotten us to where we are this year with a 500 or 600% increase in Tesla's stock price this year has been people buying so that they can sell to these funds that are forced to buy Tesla whether they want it or not.
Yeah, it's such a fascinating paradox. And at the flip side, though, Tesla's really executed fundamentally. So that's really what's driving it. And that's what I focus on every day, is like the business behind the stock. I don't, that's why on my channel, I've said like, I don't care about the S&P 500. It's like, okay, people are forced to buy. It'll kind of normalize and get wonky, but then we'll just be back to normal, people buying the company because they want to invest in it. How do you think about that? Because I know you're a long-term kind of guy like me, but where's your fascination with this lie?
Well, I got my Wall Street Journal article back here in my shrine to Elon with my book and my coffee mug and my short shorts box back there. So yeah, we've all been long-term investors for Tesla for many years. I bought my first shares back in 2014, and I still own those. Haven't sold them. I've been adding this whole time.
And so is it just the finance kind of nerd in you that wanted to follow like just how the S&P, such an old school thing, would deal with including Tesla?
Yeah, it's just exciting to follow Tesla news and keep up with it and see what may happen with it, right? I don't think a lot of people expected at the beginning of this year that we would see Tesla rise to about $3,000 a share, which if you factor out the 5-to-1 stock split is where we would be at a $600 share price, right?
Nobody, even us, the crazy bullish people. Like I was like hodling to 1 trill, and now we're like half a trill, and I'm like, dude, are we?
We're at
I have to like up my
already.
price target. I was like, I kicked the can down the road. I was like, I don't have to think about selling Tesla to like 2025. I'm holding to a trill. Now I'm like, oh my god, I'm gonna have to actually think about it soon.
Yeah, well, Kathy Wood and Tasha Keeney, they had it right. They had their $4,000 price target over a year ago, and we are 75% of the way there already. And
totally.
The short sellers are as wrong as they can be.
Totally. I love it. Well, thank you so much for hopping on this quick call, James. I really wanted to like pick your brain and get your 2 cents on this, because you've been doing some amazing tweets. I'll put your Twitter below. Everyone should totally follow you if they're not already. But I'll see you on the other side of this S&P inclusion, James. I can't wait to see the roller coaster ride.
Definitely. It's a lot of fun being along for the ride with Tesla. Thanks as always, Gally.
Yeah. Have an awesome afternoon. Peace out, James.
Okay.